Hey guys, let's solve this problem. Apply operations to an array. So as you can see, it's an easy problem. So you are given a zero index array nums of size n consisting of non-negative integers. So you need to apply n minus one operations to this array where the is operation is just you apply the it is the other operation is just a zero indexed, and you will apply the following on the i's element of nums, right? So if nums of I is the same as nums of I plus one, you multiply nums I by two and set the I plus one's number to zero, right? Otherwise, you skip this operation. After performing all the operations, shift all the zeros to the end of the array. For example, the array 0 to 0 0 1 is gonna be this one, right? It's gonna be this one after shifting all the zeros to the end of the array and return the resulting array, right? So note that note that the operations are applied sequentially, right? Not all at once. So let's take the first example, right? So in the first example, as you can see, we have this number, right? We have this number, right? So let's apply n minus one operations, right? So we start from the first number, right? The first number is the first index is gonna be zero, right? So we start from this point. So as a point, we can see one, right? And its next is gonna be two, right? So one and two are different, right? So we skip this operation. So the next operation is gonna be um, the next operation is gonna be at index one, right? So at index one, we can see at index one and at index two they are the same, right? So we have to multiply the number at index two by two and set the number at index two zero, right? So it's gonna be our result is gonna be one for and zero, right? It's gonna be we have this one, and we skip two steps, right? Because once we were here and we apply our operations to these numbers, and we skip two steps, and we're gonna be here, right? We're gonna be at this point. So once we are at this point, we are going to apply our operation, right? So we are going to apply this, right? So at this point, as you can see, one and one are the same, right? The two numbers are the same, right? The one and one are the same, right? So we can apply our operation. So we multiply the one at index three by two is gonna be two, and the one we at index four is gonna be zero, and the last number is gonna be zero, right? So our result is gonna be this one. So after we have this answer, so the next step is gonna be moving all the zeros to the end of the array. So let's say we have two pointers, right? So the first pointer is gonna seek a zero, and the next pointer seeks a non-zero number. So let's say this one is z. Let's say zero seeker, and the one is non-zero seeker. Let's say nz, right? So non-zero seeker, we're gonna have zero seeker and non-zero seeker, right? So they were initially pointing to the first index. So once when you see this one, the zero seeker is gonna be at one, right? So it's pointing to one, but it should point zero, right? So it moved to the next point. It is this number is also now zero, right? So we will move to this point. So the zero seeker is gonna be at this point, and the non-zero, since the non-zero seeker cannot be less than a zero seeker, is gonna move to the same step, right? It's gonna be here this point. So at this point, we will move the non-zero seeker because it's this point. This is zero, right? So we will move it to this point. The non-zero seeker is gonna be here, right? So at this point, the two pointers are pointing the right number, right? So now at this point we can swap, right? So we can instead of swapping, we can say like we'll assign this number with the one we have here, and we will make this one zero, right? Then as you can see, our result is gonna be 142, and the rest of the numbers gonna be zero, right? So at the end we're gonna have three numbers, and we have assigned this one to two, right? It's gonna be this one. So our result is gonna be 14200, right? So I'm going to solve this problem in O of n operation and in O of one time in O of n time complexity, and in O of one space complexity. So because the result, the nums, I'm going to use just the nums array. I'm going to in place. I'm going to swap the numbers in place. So I'm going to use I'm not going to use extra space. So the resulting, the one we are going to return is not going to be considered. So the time constraint is going to be open and the space is going to be open, right? So as you can see, the total number of the length of the array can be these 2000, right? It's going to be, in the worst case, going to be this one, right? So let's go to the implementation, right? So first, in one pass, let's say, I'm going to do is I'm going to use two passes. So in the first pass, I'm going to have, let's say, nums. For example, let's first find the links, and for index in range of n minus one, I have n minus one operations, right? So if nums at index is gonna be, if this is the same as nums at index plus one, at this point what we're going to do is we have to make nums at index is gonna be multiplied by two, right? We have to multiply it by two, and nums at index, the number at index plus one, is gonna be zero, right? Once we are done this, let's say in Z, we have zero seeker, let's say zero seeker, where Z seeker, let's say that this is just to mean zero seeker, right? Or let's say zero seeker is gonna be zero, and non-zero seeker, we have another pointer, and zero seeker is gonna be, both of them starts from zero initially, right? And once we have done this, we iterate to while none, none, we have a non-zero seeker, right? So seeker is gonna be if the less than n. Once we are done this, if nums at zero seeker, let's say we have a zero seeker, right? Once, if this is different from zero, because it has to be zero, right? Or if a non-zero seeker is less than a zero seeker, if this is less than a zero seeker, if this is the case, we have to move both pointers, right? We have to move both pointers to, so a zero seeker is gonna be zero seeker, non-zero seeker is gonna be plus one, and a zero seeker is gonna be, but we will move both pointers to the right, right? So it's gonna be this one. So once we have done this, what if like the what if a number, the non-zero seeker is not pointing to, not pointing to zero? What if it's pointing to zero, right? So seeker, if it is pointing to zero, if it is zero, we have to move it, right? We have to move this, the non-zero seeker to, right? We have to move it. Otherwise, if is this condition not never happened, what we're going to do is we have to make nums at a zero seeker. Zero seeker is gonna be multiplied by, again, I mean, it's gonna be nums at then zero zero seeker, gonna be, and nums at none none zero zero, nums at zero seeker is gonna be zero, right? And once we have done this, we can move these pointers to the right, and both of them, we have to move both of them to the right. Okay, so once we have done, we can return, since we have made in place swap, so we can make this one in place operation, right? So let's see if this works or for the given test case. So as you can see, it passed for all of the given test cases. So let's see if this works for all of the given test cases. So as you can see, it passed. So thank you very much. If you guys liked this video, please subscribe. It will help me a lot.